Hi guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the details of the skull, and as I've mentioned in the previous video, we're going to divide the details into two types of details. We're going to do a general sort of details, just like noise and general grunge texture to the whole thing, and then we're going to do specific details. Or actually, we're going to do it the other way around. First we're going to do the specific details, and then we're going to do the different details. So for the specific details, what I want to do is I'm going to grab my Damien standard BDS, and we're going to be doing like what we did over here, like where the bones kind of merge together. And I'm taking a look at the reference here, and there's definitely one line coming here through the middle of the nose. So I'm using my Damien standard here to create this very nice suture line, and this is probably going to go like to the back here. Again, we will need to look for like a specific cheetah anatomy book, but this should be good enough. Now, I'm also seeing that it kind of like divides itself through like the sides of the nose, all the way to the front of the face. And I call this a specific details because I'm going to be teaching you about alphas very, very shortly. And there are certain things that alphas won't be able to create. And this is one of those things. Like this sort of lines will be very difficult to generate or to create with alphas by themselves, okay? Let's take a look at the reference here. I kind of want to add like a line here. Again, some of them might not be like anatomically correct, but I just think like the sort of cracks and stuff will look cool on our skull overall. On this area back here, like again, it kind of feels like I would follow this sort of like line or ridge. So let's just go over here. And usually this zygomatic arc either blends or creates like a division over here as well. So again, I'm inventing here a little bit. We're deviating from like an accurate like anatomical process, but sometimes the cool factor also comes into play, and it's fine as long as the project and the art director are fine with it. So there we go. Because the chances of someone being like a cheetah anatomy expert and like taking a look at your skull in a game and being like, oh, that's completely inaccurate, you would never have a line over there, are quite low, right? So again, there's a little bit of, unless you're doing like a scientific journal or like a biology textbook or something, there's a little bit of room that you can use. So there's going to be a lot of this sort of things where you're going to be going with like Damien standard, adding like specific little lines, specific little cracks. Let's say maybe this guy had like a very big crack on some part of the skull, like here. So I'm going to break symmetry, grab my Damien standard, and let's add just like a big crack. Maybe he died while fighting like, I don't know, like a buffalo or something. And he's going to have like a big crack on the skull over here. So this is one of the great things about ZBrush, that you're going to be able to modify and change certain things that are going to make your project a lot cooler. So here's, for instance, let's break symmetry again. And instead of a crack, let's just create like a little bit of a hole over here, okay? So here's where we're deviating from symmetry, and we're adding like specific details to different parts of the model. We're breaking the symmetry, but we're creating something a lot cooler, right? Something that's gonna be very, very nice. For instance, let's add another one of those holes over here and make it seem like this skull has been through a lot, right? Like maybe it's a fossil, and we found it like after a long time. So there's gonna be a little bit of damage here and there, right? So go crazy, have fun, be creative, try to find something interesting for your elements, and you guys are gonna, I think you guys are gonna have a great time. ZBrush is a super fun software, so if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. There we go. Now it's time to jump into the details. And whenever I talk about the details, I like to use an analogy, which is a cake, right? Everyone has had a cake, like a birthday cake before, and a lot of people are really talented and they create these beautiful decorated cakes, but you should know, and I think everyone knows, that even though the cake might be like super decorated, if it doesn't taste right, then it doesn't matter how pretty it looks. It needs to look pretty, but it also needs to taste like good, right? The bread needs to be like very nice, very moist, very fresh, and that's the kind of thing that we're looking for on a cake. Well, the same applies for a sculpture. The detail that I'm gonna show you how to do right now is super easy to do. But if you don't have good forms, if your primary, secondary, tertiary forms are not done right, then it doesn't matter how much detail you add, it's gonna look wrong, it's gonna look ugly, okay? So keep that in mind for this next technique. I'm gonna go into my standard brush. I'm gonna see BST. And the standard brush is the brush that we're gonna use to add like the surface detail so that it looks like bone, like a rock. And I'm gonna change the stroke to spray. Spray is really good. And I'm gonna change the alpha to something a little bit grungy, like I'm actually going to go here into the lightbox, and in the alphas, we can grab this sort of, I don't want to use leather though. No, that's fine. Let's go here into the alphas here, and let's use this like alpha. Which one would be good? I don't want that. That's a little bit too much. Yeah, I think this one, alpha 25, can work fine. So what's going to happen now is as we go over the thing, see how we're adding surface detail? That's good, but as you can see, the Dynamesh is still a little bit too low. So I'm going to go into Geometry or Dynamesh over here and just going to increase the resolution. Dynamesh, we're over 1 million polygons now, and when we add the detail, as you can see, it's going to look a lot nicer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to lower this and have this be C sub, so that we're kind of like removing elements from this. And see how easy it is to just cover the whole like surface in this sort of like grainy effect. This is one of the most powerful things about ZBrush, the fact that adding this sort of detail, like this sort of minimal detail, later on we're going to talk about like skin detail and stuff, it's a really easy. As you can see, it really doesn't take that much, and we're already covering the whole surface. One of the important things here is you want to keep your brush in the same size, because if I change the size of the brush, the size of the detail is also going to change, and in this case that's not what I want. So I want to keep the brush in the very similar size, and I don't want to overdo it. One of the very common mistakes is people overdo it, and as you can see, it's going to start like eating away from our character, and that's not what we want. It's just a very soft thing. Like, actually, if you see this from afar, you're not even going to see the detail. That's why the primary forms and secondary forms are so important, because those are the things that you're going to be seeing the most. But when you go like up close like this, then we're going to start seeing this thing, and it's going to look very cool. Let's jump onto the jaw and do the same thing. Or actually, before that, let's cover every single square inch on this guy. So all of it, so that we don't have any like smooth section or smooth area. Everything should have a little bit of things. Let's go to the jawline now. Same thing, let's increase the resolution. Usually you want close to 1 million, so that should be good. And as you can see, this is looking way nicer. Look at that. Now, see how this is not erasing the previous work that we've done? Like, we're keeping pretty much the same work that we did before, like the little holes and the canals for the teeth and everything. And that's important because, again, remember, those are the primary forms. Those are like the building blocks of a whole sculpture. I'm going to go into Trim Dynamic. I'm going to trim this thing a little bit more. It looks a little bit too sharp for my taste. So there we go. Now for the teeth, I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to go in the standard. I'm going to change this to Drag Rect, and let's use this Alpha 60. Because Alpha 60 will allow me to add this sort of like line. See that? And again, we definitely need a little bit more resolution, so let's increase the resolution. There we go. And now when we add these lines, as you can see here, it's going to look like the teeth are cracked, which is pretty cool. Be gentle. Don't overdo it. Like, you don't want to like create such a like dramatic effect or anything. So we want to keep it simple. That's another one of the big secrets here. Keep it simple. Keep it nice. Don't go overboard here. Now I'm gonna go here and I want to add a couple of extra details. Now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do spray, and let's do like little dots like this Alpha 23. I really like. And in certain areas, I want to add like a little bit of like erosion, right? So a couple of areas of my character will have like this sort of erosion sort of thing. And at any point, by the way, at any point, you can just go back and say like, hey, I want like a couple of extra dots and things, like a couple of extra damage in certain areas. Like, you're free to go back and change. You might need to rebuild some of the detail, but as you saw, it's actually really easy to rebuild that sort of detail. So it's normal, it's completely normal to go from one point to the other and be creating this sort of things, okay? So there we go. Nice. Now, later on, we're going to talk about specific alphas and other things that you can do, but I think for now, this is really nice. I think we've got to a very nice point here with our sculpture. So I'm going to stop the video right here, guys, and there's just going to be just one more video in this chapter. We're going to talk about rendering, like how can we present this thing in a nicer light, literally. So yeah, just hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.